became a career firefighter with the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Service, the chief of the medical division, or EMS, the unofficial historian of the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Service. Over 65,000 digital images and newspaper articles, magazine articles, etc. Episode 24-28, It's All About Snakes, Brian West, and Epilogue.
A mere 25 years on Earth were enough for Brian Leslie West to establish himself as a snake expert. He would often teach paramedics how to treat snake bites, but in the end, nothing could save him from his already woven destiny, not even his expertise. Hit like and subscribe. This is Fierce. Reptiles fascinated Brian West in a way that went beyond a simple hobby to become an integral part of who he was as a person. Brian's natural curiosity led him down a path of exploration and discovery from an early age. Growing up in the charming Maryland town of Emmitsburg, Brian devoted many hours of his childhood to exploring the surrounding area in quest of reptiles, snakes, and other creatures that piqued his curiosity. He became a member of the Western Maryland Herpetological Society, a community of like-minded individuals dedicated to the study and conservation of reptiles and amphibians. For Brian, becoming a member of the Herpetological Society was a life-changing event. It gave him a platform from where he could impart his wisdom and passion to other enthusiasts. In addition to finding mentors who shared his enthusiasm for reptiles, Brian made lifelong friends through the Society's meetings, field trips, and educational initiatives. Brian was a key player in planning educational programs and community outreach events to debunk myths and misconceptions regarding reptiles as an involved member of the Western Maryland Herpetological Society. On May 29, 1992, tragedy struck when Brian Leslie West, the iconic 25-year-old snake enthusiast from Emmitsburg, Maryland, met his untimely demise. Renowned for his expertise in treating snake bites and other snake-related issues, Brian jumped headfirst into helping an Indian cobra deliver her eggs. Because Indian cobras rarely mate in captivity, he knew that his job was risky, but ultimately extremely important for the well-being of the snake and its eggs. Brian used to always put the animal's well-being over his, but this time it cost him greatly. An Indian cobra laying her eggs doesn't happen that often, especially when the snake grows in captivity. During a moment of weakness, Brian's life took a fatal turn. While the snake was lying on the ground, Brian decided to get up suddenly, thinking it was dead. It wasn't too far-fetched, as a similar experience in the past resulted in the snake's death. As he moved his body, Brian unconsciously left his guard down, and in that second-long moment of distraction, when he took his eyes off the cobra, the snake aimed for his foot in a painful grasp that could have meant only one thing: a deep, ferocious bite. Following the deadly encounter, Brian bravely attempted to reduce the danger by instructing his companions to secure the snake to prevent further harm. "It bit me on the foot. We've got to catch the animal and put it in the cage before the paramedics get here, so no one else gets hurt," he urged one of his friends who was present at the scene. In the few seconds that followed the bite, struggling to grasp at what had happened to him, West remembered he had a vial of venom in his pocket from a similar incident a few months prior. However, the clock was ticking, and the possibility of him getting an intravenous transfusion then and there was dimming by the second. With the amount of venom he got, he didn't have a chance. He was concerned for the animal. That's the way he's always been with them. They were one of his great loves. If he had survived, he'd have gone back and tried the same thing tomorrow. Brian's father, Larry West, said. Though Brian and his loved ones rushed to his aid, only 5 minutes after the bite, Brian passed away from cardiac arrest, leaving a devastated community and a legacy of love and devotion to his beloved reptiles behind. Brian had always found snakes fascinating, and never consider them to be scary animals, only marvelous beings that needed to be understood and respected. His unique business involved giving demonstrations on snakebite treatments, where his knowledge and expertise proved invaluable in saving lives many, many times. Despite the risks involved, Brian approached his work with joy and enthusiasm, eager to share his fascination with others. Those who knew him were profoundly impacted by his teachings, which sparked respect and admiration for his bravery and commitment. Unfortunately, Brian's death was ultimately caused by this very passion, an irony only fate could have created. Among the most deadly snakes on the planet, the king Indian cobra struck during a moment of unwary weakness, killing its unsuspecting victim. The Indian cobra is a large, highly venomous snake and is a member of the big four species that inflict the most snake bites on humans in India alone. In Indian mythology and culture, the Indian cobra is highly esteemed and is frequently observed alongside snake charmers. Throughout their range, these snakes exhibit a great deal of variation in color and pattern. However, they're easily recognized by their comparatively large and impressive hood, which they expand in the event of a threat. The venom of the Indian cobra paralyzes muscles, and in cases of severe bites, causes cardiac arrest or respiratory failure by acting on the synaptic gaps in the nerves. Indian cobras hiss and stand tall, extending their hoods and assuming an upright posture when they feel threatened. Cobras are unable to retract their fangs, unlike vipers, and their bite can be deadly if proper medical treatment is not sought immediately. As he talked about Brian's steadfast commitment to his snakes, his father, Larry West, emphasized his son's compassionate disposition and strong bond with the animals he looked after. Beyond his premature passing, Brian left behind a well-established legacy of commitment to his beloved snakes, despite his young age. Since his early childhood, Brian had aimed to comprehend and value the intricacy and beauty of the natural world, and he had found comfort and companionship in the company of reptiles. What had been a hobby turned into a vocation driven by conviction and purpose, thanks to Brian's ability to demystify these frequently feared creatures. For Stephanie Brennan, Brian's widow, the journey towards healing was the most difficult thing she had ever done. She turned to the memories they had made over their years together for comfort as she struggled with the pain of loss. As time went on and the pain of losing her husband started to fade, Stephanie was forced to consider living through her husband's passing during a television show that examined his life and legacy. Honoring his wishes to ensure their continued care and protection, Brian's collection of over 50 exotic snakes, which included Burmese pythons, asps, and rattlesnakes, was carefully preserved and placed in zoos and other collections. In the years that followed, people who knew Brian and his fervent efforts to end the stigma associated with snakes remain imprinted in their hearts. Even though his tale is tragic, it highlights the close bond between nature and humans, as well as the human need to appear unstoppable to predators. As Brian had declared prior to his deadly assault, "I have never been bitten. They're great things. People are much too afraid of them."
Please use your remaining heartbeats wisely and not waste a single precious one.